Hi, I'm Alex Avila, catch for the Detroit Tigers. Welcome to the Motor City and Fox Saturday Baseball.
On a warm, humid afternoon for baseball in Detroit, Fox Saturday Baseball welcomes you to KONERKO Park for a battle between two American League Central Division rivals, the Chicago White Sox and the Detroit Tigers. And at the start of play, the Indians and 6.5 games stand between Detroit and Chicago in a crowded AL Central. And with that, we welcome you inside the broadcast booth at KONERKO Park. Matt Vasgersian. Yes, 6.5 games and not a lot of time left for the Chicago White Sox to try to catch the pace-setting Tigers atop the division, including this afternoon's only 5 left head-to-head between these two AL Central Division rivals. And as I welcome Mitch Williams into the telecast, Mitch, clearly important games down the stretch here into the final month of the season. Maybe these games a little more important for the team doing the chasing.
Well, there's no question, Matty. The team doing the chasing, they have to win. When you're playing a team that is ahead of you in the division, these are 2-game swings. Right now they sit 6.5 games back. If they lose this game today, that's 7.5 games back. If they win it, that's 5.5. Clearly, the White Sox cannot afford to lose to the Detroit Tigers the rest of the year, in my opinion.
Again, including this afternoon's just 5 left head-to-head between Detroit and Chicago, two teams who have been the hottest in the American League over the last month. The White Sox have lost a season series to Detroit only twice in the last 12 years, but it's the Tigers that have had the upper hand this season. They'll go at it again this afternoon. Stay with us. Starting lineups and the opening pitch are coming up next. Okay. Is brought to you by Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. Ready for baseball. Game 2 of this 3-game weekend set between Chicago and Detroit. Juan Pierre set to lead it off for Ozzie Guillen's visiting White Sox. We'll post lineups and talk more about today's Tigers starting pitcher in just a moment. Juan Pierre ready to go, and we are all set for baseball on a warm afternoon in Detroit. Underway at KONERKO Park. A ball and no strikes to Juan Pierre.
Matty, this is one thing Brad Penny is going to have to establish early in this game is he is going to have to get ahead with his fastball and get to his secondary pitches.
It is Brad Penny making his 27th start for the Tigers this year, coming off a beating last time around in Minneapolis on Sunday, where he lost an 11-4 decision, looking to even up his record at 500, and included in his 9 wins 3 victories against the White Sox this year. Here's his 1-1 home to Juan Pierre bunting, and he pushes one foul. Let's check the sprint pitcher profile for Brad Penny, Mitch.
And for me, it's simple. I think Brad Penny has to work faster to keep his defense on their toes. He's got to get ahead in the count, and he has to use his breaking ball and secondary pitches in hitters' counts. He does not throw that 96, 97 mile an hour fastball anymore.
In front of Juan Pierre, a ball and 2 strikes. And still 1-2.
And you know, with a guy like Juan Pierre, he is not up there looking to jerk the ball out of the park. He is up there looking to put the ball in play and use his speed. So Penny has got to work the ball down and make him hit the ball on the ground.
And the next 1-2 pitch home is slapped into the opposite field. Delman Young is out there. He drifts back to make the catch, and there's 1 out in the books for Brad Penny. Let's check the rest of the White Sox Taco Bell starting lineup. Taco Bell, think outside the bunt. Alexi Ramirez and Paul KONERKO will follow in this, the first. KONERKO having a fine 2011 season. 2-time All-Star A.J. PIERZYNSKI was off the DL and DHing for the first time all year yesterday. He's back at catcher today. Diane Viciedo, Alex Rios, Alejandro De Anza, Brent Morrill, and Gord Beckham round things out for the White Sox this afternoon. Here is Alexi Ramirez with 1 away. Ramirez starts at 263 this afternoon, 13 home runs, 55 driven in. He has been swinging a hot bat over the last week or so, over 300. You know, it might come as a little surprise, I think, Mitch, to casual fans to hear that the White Sox have put together one of the better stretches in the American League this last month. We said that when we opened the telecast. These are the 2 hottest teams in the junior circuit since August 5.
And you really wouldn't know it. I mean, it hadn't been that well publicized because Detroit hadn't run off with the division. Chicago was pretty far back there for a while, and that's a great barehanded play by Penny if he makes it.
Oh, and he does not. It's only the speed of Alexi Ramirez that gets him the bag, and it's a 1-out single for Alexi Ramirez in the visitors' first.
And that's what you get when you get a big old hay hauler out on the mound. He is going to throw his big mitt, which I mean bare hand, up in front of that ball, makes a great effort on it, just does not quite beat the speedy Ramirez to first base with it.
So Brad Penny giving himself an extra moment here after knocking down that comebacker, and he's got to face Paul KONERKO, without question the toughest out in the White Sox order. Jim Leyland and the White Sox, or Tigers trainer rather, waved back into the dugout after they perched themselves up onto the top step to make sure Penny was okay.
Well, that's something I never did in my career, basically because I wasn't able to. But Brad Penny puts himself in a position to field balls after he lets go of them.
Here is Paul KONERKO now with Alexi Ramirez aboard, and KONERKO lays off the first pitch, a ball and no strikes. What has ailed the White Sox offensively this season has not been the fault of Paul KONERKO. The 5-time All-Star is in the top 10 in just about every offensive American League offensive category, that is.
And it's really scary, Matty, to think where this team would be had they not re-signed him as a free agent in the offseason. They certainly wouldn't be within 6.5 games of the division leaders. Not the way the rest of this lineup has shaken out, with Adam Dunn struggling, Rio struggling.
Out of the stretch, the next offering home miss is low. Don't get us wrong, KONERKO is good at any time of day, but it's in the afternoon when he has done his best work. A .375 batting average in the sunshine. That's the best in the American League.
And this is a pitcher, this is where you do a whole lot of looking in the on-deck circle, believe me, Brad Penny knows KONERKO's stats in the daytime. He knows what he's capable of doing. And the way he's going about pitching him, this is an unintentional, intentional walk. He is not going to let KONERKO hurt him in the first inning.
This has also been a part of Brad Penny's season, Mitch, as you see A.J. Pierzynski waiting on deck. Penny has turned into a rather meticulous worker later in his career.
And that speaks a little bit to my point about working faster. The faster you work on the mound, the more into the game your defense is. You don't give your defense an opportunity to get on their heels, sit back, wander around. You want them to be ready. And working fast does that for a defense. And
full count, 3 balls and 2 strikes to Paul KONERKO.
And now, in my opinion, this pitch has got to be a ball off the plate and down. If you walk him, you walk him. You got A.J. Pierzynski, who is a double play threat, in the on-deck circle.
Instead, it's shot through the hole on the right side. Ramirez will wrap around to third. Paul KONERKO comes through, and there are runners at the corners with 1 away to start the ball game for Chicago.
And the reason I say I want the ball away and down is because anything up on the outer third of the plate, like you see right here, that's actually middle. Paul KONERKO makes a living on cripple pitches. He is not going to miss a middle fastball. And that's exactly what happened. The good news is they've still got the double play in order with Pierzynski at the plate.
Jeff Kellogg calling balls and strikes this afternoon. He'll do so now with runners at the corners and only 1 away. Here is A.J. Pierzynski. Again, came off the DL yesterday and served as the designated hitter for the first time all season long. Pierzynski had been on the shelf with a fractured left wrist that cost him almost a month away. In his absence, the White Sox were able to see what Tyler Flowers could do, and by the way, they liked seeing what Tyler Flowers could do.
And in talking to Ozzie again before the game, Matty, it's been time waiting. They knew this kid could do what he's done since coming up. It's just been a matter of time and when it was going to happen. So they're really pleased with what Flowers was able to accomplish while AJ was hurt.
Ball and a strike to count to A.J. Pierzynski, the 2-time All-Star, with a chance to give the White Sox an early advantage here this afternoon. And a breaking ball misses the corner to 2-1.
A.J. rocking the Tom Selleck mustache. I haven't seen him rock this look before.
Is that what that is?
I've seen white hair. I've seen him do all kinds of stuff, but never just the Tom Selleck mustache.
I think it's more Jeff Kent than it is Tom Selleck. Selleck used to wear a Tigers cap, you know.
Yes, he did.
As Pierzynski sticks around by fouling that ball off. To your earlier point, Mitch, A.J. Pierzynski has grounded into 18 double plays this year, and that's one of the higher totals in the American League.
And you have to at times. I know I spent my career living in the on-deck circle. If I knew there was a guy at the plate that could catch up and had a chance to beat me, and there was a guy in the on-deck circle that I knew I could beat, the guy at the plate was swinging at balls or he was walking.
2 balls and 2 strikes to count to A.J. Pierzynski. Into the opposite field and well hit, carrying Delman Young. He makes the catch, tagging up at third is Alexi Ramirez. No play at the plate, and the White Sox have scored first on a sacrifice fly by A.J. Pierzynski. While we have a moment, and with a run on the board, let's take a look at the defensive alignment for the Tigers this afternoon. Here's how they line up against or behind Brad Penny. Delman Young, Austin Jackson, and rookie Andy Dirks is in right. Wilson Betemit, Johnny Peralta. Carlos Guillen gets a start at second with Miguel Cabrera at first. And a guy who's really been the Iron Man backstop in all of baseball this year, Alex Avila, behind home plate. Here's Diane Viciedo now. And Penny starts in with a strike. Viciedo has been hard to handle this year. And talking about guys who have emerged. Came up and had more than a cup of coffee last year, hit over 300. Big numbers at AAA Charlotte this year. And the outstanding young right-handed hitter has continued on that pace in the big leagues.
And right there you see in a 1-0 count, Brad Penny throws a breaking ball. This is what Brad Penny's going to have to do. He's past the point in his career where he can stand out there and blow fastballs by guys in hitters' counts. He's got to pitch.
Stays off a breaking ball that time, and it's a ball and 2 strikes. Yeah, there are some things to look for here today regarding Brad Penny. We've already talked, Mitch, about how slowly he works. He's also really labored in the afternoon this year.
Well,
games.
He's a big man. I mean, there's no two ways about it. He's what we call at home a big old hay hauler. So that's a lot of man out there. And you and I, Matty, both had the opportunity to go on the field. It is hot and humid down there today.
94 degrees at first pitch. They're expecting thunder showers later on today. We'll see if that plays a role as we wear on this afternoon. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Viciedo. And a swing and a miss. Bounces away from Avila. He'll apply the tag on the DH, who didn't bother moving. All told, a run in the top of the first. It's a 1-0 White Sox lead. The afternoon, let's take a look at Jimmy Leland's Taco Bell Tigers starting batting order, brought to you by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun. Austin Jackson leads off in the midst of a 13-game hitting streak. Andy Dirks and Delman Young follow. Miguel Cabrera, Victor Martinez, and Alex Avila make out a meaty 4 through 6 middle of the order. 2011 All-Star Johnny Peralta's at shortstop, batting number 7. Carlos Guillen gets his start at second base. Wilson Benamed at third base, batting number 9. It is Gavin Floyd on the mound for the White Sox, making his 26th starting assignment of the season. Floyd looking for win number 13. The 28-year-old veteran right-hander has been very effective over his last handful of starts.
And this is a guy with an outstanding curveball. If he can get ahead in the count and get to that curveball to where he can bury it, it can be a long afternoon for these Tigers hitters.
Austin Jackson, Andy Dirks, and Delman Young in the Tigers first. And the 1-1 home. A ball and 2 strikes to Gavin Floyd as you digest his season line. 3-0 over his last 4 starts. So he's done a lot of his best work here of late down the stretch. Austin Jackson lines into center field. A knuckleball that Rios has to stay with and make a shoe top grab on for the first out.
That's a tremendous play right there by Alex Rios. And when Gavin Floyd gets ahead in the count like that, as we look at the play Rios makes, he comes in, gets that glove down. Tremendous play. But when Gavin Floyd gets ahead in the count like that, he cannot keep that curveball in the strike zone. He has got to go out of the strike zone and make them chase.
Let's take a look at the sprint pitcher profile for Gavin Floyd.
For me, he's got to work ahead. He's got to command his curveball and do not put himself in a position to where Miguel Cabrera can hurt him.
And Miguel Cabrera batting fourth as per usual this afternoon. Andy Dirks now with one away and the bases empty. Andy Dirks getting a lot of the opportunities, particularly against right-handed starters in the absence of Brennan Bosch, who's still dealing with a thumb injury. Jimmy Leland trying to get everybody healthy for this last final push into the postseason. And that's not to say that Jim Leland is assuming a postseason berth.
No, I don't think Jimmy's going to assume anything. They had a 7-game lead a couple of years ago, and Minnesota ran them down, and they had to play a 163rd game to decide it, and they ended up missing out on the playoffs. So just in talking to Jim Leland today, this is not a man that's overconfident in any way.
Earned his 500th win as Tiger manager yesterday. Only a handful of men to have ever managed this uniform have won more in Detroit as Dirks takes a strike, and it's a full count now, 3-2. And pretty good company there. 500 victories as Tiger manager, and after the game last night when he was asked about it, he said, I don't want to talk about my wins because over 100 of those have been courtesy of Justin Verlander. Let's talk about him instead, as that's hit on the ground to Beckham, and there are 2 away in the first. Well, it's only a 1-0 deficit, Mitch, but there's quite a discrepancy between when the Tigers score first and or scored upon first.
That's a huge discrepancy, Matty. I mean, they're 35 games over 500 when they score first. And if I'm doing my gazintas right, they're 21 games under 500 when the opponent scores first. And I think that the reasons that happens is because as soon as a pitcher falls behind, now he becomes too fine. He thinks he can't make a mistake. He starts living on the edges, maybe walking more people, and the hitters start to press.
Delman Young has a base hit through that 5.5 hole into left field.
I think this is going to be a big pickup for them. I think Delman Young is going to fit in here really nicely and help with this push to the postseason for the Tigers.
Well, the deal was consummated back in August. One of those waivers required trades. And if we all recall, the Tigers were playing the Twins at the time, and Delman had to simply walk across the field into the opposing clubhouse. Here is Miguel Cabrera now.
And this is what I spoke of earlier. You look in the on-deck circle. If this had been 2010.
Well hit out to the opposite gap. De Aza is back out there looking up, and it's off the top of the wall. Delman Young will score easily as Miguel Cabrera has doubled in a run and maybe more. They might take a look at this one again, Mitch.
Yeah, I think this ball may have been a home run. And I didn't get to finish my thought. Had this been 2010 and Victor Martinez not standing on deck, Miguel Cabrera is not getting that first pitch fastball right there. We're going to get an opportunity to look to see if this ball is actually a home run or not. It is not. It hit the top. It hit the yellow line, but stayed in play. So I'm sure they're going to review it and come back out and say it's a double.
Taking another look, it did hit the top of the wall, and as you mentioned, Mitch, the crew is splitting up now. And 3 of the 4, Jeff Kellogg is the crew chief in this crew. He's got home plate. 3 of the 4 umpires will go underneath to watch the replays, while 1 official stays out on the field. Those replays are all ruled from New York City.
Now, I don't know, Matty, the ground rules here in Detroit. I'm not privy to them.
I don't know if the yellow line is considered a home run or if it has to clear the yellow line. I'm being told by our research man, Moses, it has to clear it, and clearly it did not clear it.
Yeah, that's a pretty good look
That's
there.
That's a great piece of camera work by our camera people. It is most definitely going to be ruled a double.
Yeah, one would imagine this will be a pretty quick one to review and come back on the field on. It's worth a try, right? Miguel Cabrera wheeled into second, and he had the finger up in the air, spinning it around, saying, hey, was that gone? Was that a home run? It was close enough to where you can certainly understand Jim Leyland coming out and asking to get a better look at it via replay.
Well, I can tell you this. Had it been a foot and a half more to the right, it's a home run. In that replay, it didn't look as close as it actually was.
Real speed to the naked eye without the benefit of replay, and there would be all kinds of consternation over that. But in moments, I think it'll be made official, and both parties will be satisfied to learn that, in fact, it was a two-base hit. And Jeff Kellogg confirms it's a double.
I'm very seldom wrong when I get 8 or 10 chances to look at it, Matty.
Your winning percentage pretty good that way, huh?
In slow motion, 8 or 10 opportunities to view it, I've very seldom been wrong.
Well, all this with 2 out, mind you. Delman Young singles into left, and then on the first pitch, Miguel Cabrera just missed a home run, so it's a 1-1 ball game.
And as I said, don't let this be lost on you that Victor Martinez is standing in that on-deck circle. Because had this, oh, look at Ozzie here making muscles. You know, Ozzie couldn't have hit a ball out there when he was playing if he was standing at second base.
All right, a 1-1 ball game now. Cabrera in scoring position for the switch hitting DH Victor Martinez. This is how Miguel reacted to that. Save it.
Exactly. And now Gavin Floyd, he's got to bear down because he's got Avila on deck who's been extremely good this year.
This is as good a 4, 5, 6 part of the order as they've got in Boston, as they've got in Texas, as they've got in New York. Other teams likely headed to the postseason in 2011. One of whom will be the draw for whoever comes out of the Central, be it the Tigers, be it Chicago or Cleveland.
And the great thing about the middle of this order with Victor, him being a switch hitter, there's not a whole lot of moves late in games managers can make. He's got to figure out, do I want Victor swinging left-handed, or do I want him swinging right-handed? And being a 300 hitter, it doesn't seem to matter much.
It's been a pick your poison equation for Victor Martinez most of his career in that regard. 304 right-handed, 325 from the left. A high drive into the corner and right. Diaz is going to have room on this ball to retire the side. But back-to-back 2-out hits have evened it up early in Motown. the bun, and by Jeep. You want to share with the world what you just asked me between commercials there?
Matty, you know I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. I asked if that was a Golden Gate Bridge. I didn't know it was a picture of a bridge here.
And then I liked how you talked yourself into the fact that it wasn't by saying, oh, that's not the Golden Gate Bridge. Golden Gate Bridge is orange. And it's in San Francisco, but that wasn't the part that you were thinking about. It is a hot day here in Detroit.
I didn't know they had bridges that big around here.
Alex Rios leads things off in the White Sox half of the second. Rios, De Anza, and Morrill, as Brad Penny watches his lineup get one back for him. He gave up the run in the top of the first on a sac fly by A.J. PIERZYNSKI.
Brad Penny has one job to do right here. Get this team back in the dugout without giving up a run. You hear it all the time, a shutdown inning. Well, you give one up in the first, your team gets it back. You better go out there and get them back in the dugout and get the bats back in their hand.
Alex Rios at just .214 for the year. And certainly there's been a lot of discussion on the underperforming veterans on this White Sox lineup. Alex Rios, Adam Dunn, Gordon Beckham, though certainly not as experienced as Rios and Dunn. But those numbers there, the matchup numbers against Brad Penny, one of the big reasons that the White Sox are optimistic that he can do some damage today.
Yeah, and I think Brad Penny, just in the first three pitches of this at bat, I would say that Alex Rios has done a lot of damage off Brad Penny's fastball, because he's now thrown him back-to-back changeups, and Rios has been way out in front of both of them.
Off speed again. Now it's 2 balls and 2 strikes to Alex Rios. Brad Penny's last outing against the Tigers was a very good one, a winner back on the 17th. Pitched into the 7th inning that night. And again, 3 of his 9 wins have come at the expense of the White Sox. Right back into center field, a leadoff base hit on the fastball.
Exactly. And once he went to the breaking ball to make the count 2-2, I say you got to go back to the changeup and see if you can get him to chase once again. But you leave a fastball in the middle of the plate to a guy that has historically owned you. There's a reason for him owning you. He's comfortable hitting off your fastball.
Here's Alejandro De Aza now with the leadoff hitter aboard. That base hit, by the way, makes Alex Rios 12 for 19 in his career against Brad Penny.
And that is pink slip ownership. Brad Penny, when he first came up, he was a guy that 97, 98 miles an hour, at times over 100. He's not that same guy. You can't get away with the mistakes that he makes now and not get hurt by him.
Ball and no strikes, the count to De Aza. Alejandro De Aza was recalled from AAA at the end of July. Big numbers at AAA Charlotte. And he has swung the bat well at the big league level as well. And that's kind of the shift, I think, that the White Sox have employed without making any formal statements. It's been more of guys like De Aza and Viciedo, and fewer opportunities for veterans like Adam Dunn, who, as we mentioned, have struggled this year.
Well, in Adam Dunn's situation, you worry about it getting to a point where there's just no recovering from it mentally. So these young kids, you bring them up, pitchers don't know them, they don't know how to attack them, and you can win some ball games on the backs of young kids because veteran pitchers don't know how to go at them.
2 balls and a strike. Rios has not looked like a guy that's real ready to run quite yet, but Penny checks in on him anyway.
And Penny is a guy you can run on. He is not quick to the plate. And if this base does end up being stolen, it will not be the fault of Avila, the catcher. Every base is stolen off the pitcher.
So 3 balls and a strike now on De Aza.
Now, this is where Brad Penny, as I stated in the open, he has got to be able to get a breaking ball or a changeup over in a cripple count, a 3-1 count, where a hitter is sitting fastball and fastball only.
Out of the stretch again. Next offering is fisted out to shortstop. Nifty pick by Peralta to Guillen for one. Relay not in time for the double play. 1 out, 1 on in the top of the second inning. Time for a DirecTV game break. Blue Jays and Yankees playing an afternoon game in the Bronx. Francisco Cervelli in the bottom of the second against Ricky Romero, straightening him out for a 2-run home run, part of a 6-4 Yankees win. David Robertson records his second career save. Not a lot of opportunities when you share a bullpen with Mariano Rivera. Get every big league game and the most in HD. Call 1-800-DirecTV.
He may not have a lot of opportunities with Mo there, but once Mo leaves, I think he's going to have a lot of opportunities for him.
Brent Morrill, the batter now with 1 out and 1 on. We update the American League East. Boston and Texas in action as we speak. No score in that one, bottom half of the second, but the Red Sox, for the time being, a full game behind New York atop the AL Eastern flagpole.
And I think Cabrera is going over to tell Penny, I am not picking that ball up out of the stands very well. If you want to hold them close, step off, change your times, but I wouldn't be doing a whole lot of throwing over because I don't think Miguel is picking that ball up at first base. You got white T-shirts down that left field line that that ball can come out of. It's very bright.
De Aza off first. He's stolen 5 in 7 attempts. His swing and a fly ball out to shallow right center. It's Andy Dirksen to make the catch.
And that's a good job of pitching right there by Brad Penny. Threw him a little bit of a cutter. Got it out, the ball off the barrel of the bat and out onto the end. It doesn't have to be a lot. You can see this ball cuts just enough to where he catches it off the end of the bat and he's unable to barrel it.
So now Gordon Beckham with 2 out and a runner aboard. Beckham at 231 overall, but those numbers, unfortunately for him, have been coming down over the season's final weeks. Hitting just a .148 over his last 19 games. Translates into a 9 for 61. That stuff at the plate, however, has not affected his defensive work this year. He's putting together a fine defensive campaign. Trying to be the first White Sox second baseman since Nellie Fox in 1963 to lead the American League in fielding percentage.
And Brad Penny's got himself back in a hitter's count to a guy that's 3 for 7 lifetime off him. That's a good pitch in a 2-0 count. You definitely don't want to throw him a cookie and just surrender and say, okay, here, I'm going to throw you a get me over fastball. You got Juan Pierre standing on deck, who's not a big threat to hit a 3-run bomb. So try and make your pitches to a guy that you know has hit you well in the past.
Well, I'll tell you, he is every bit as deliberate, Brad Penny, as Steve Traxel was in his prime.
The human rain delay.
Oh, my goodness.
I couldn't get the ball out of my hand fast enough when I was pitching.
Armando Reynoso was another notoriously slow worker. Beckham swings and sends a fly ball out to left center field. Austin Jackson circling under it to retire the side. A runner left stranded in the second. Played an inning and a half in Detroit this afternoon. The White Sox and Tigers all even at 1. Chevrolet is sponsored by Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. Back alongside Mitch Williams, Matt Vasgersian here at KONERKO Park in Detroit. White Sox and Tigers even in the early going, bottom half of the second. Gavin Floyd back to work as he gets Alex Avila, Johnny Peralta, and Carlos Guillen in the second.
And you can see it's a hot and humid day here. Gavin Floyd has already sweated through his jersey. And these are games on pitchers. They're tough on pitchers. I'm not going to lie to you.
First offering to Alex Avila is in for a strike. Well, the Tigers all-star catcher has reached base safely in 28 consecutive games at the start of play today. I think when you talk about streaks with Alex Avila, there is none more impressive than a recent stretch he had this year in which he started 18 consecutive games, and that's the longest stretch by a catcher in the big leagues this year. And when you consider that stretch happened after the All-Star break when it's at its hottest outside and he's wearing all the gear, never been a question about Alex's durability.
No,
he swings and misses here to strike out on 3 pitches.
And he got 3 of Gavin Floyd's curveballs right there. He got good backdoor breaking ball for first pitch, better breaking ball down for second pitch, and then best buried breaking ball in the dirt to punch him out. We talked to Jim Leland about Avila and basically how well he's done this year. And Jim used what he said a line he overuses. You can't make a senior out of a freshman. And Avila is finally learning the game at the big league level.
1 out, base is empty now for Johnny Peralta, another 2011 All-Star. A pair of first-time All-Stars leading off the second here for the Tigers. That strikeout, by the way, on Alex Avila for Gavin Floyd, his first of the ball game. It was John Danks and Justin Verlander yesterday, and anytime Justin Verlander is out on the mound, you're on that kind of double-digit / no-hit watch. It's been the case every 5 days when the Tigers ace takes the ball. Verlander got the win yesterday, his 21st of the year. Struck out only 6. Allowed a 1 earned run.
Well, for me, the American League Cy Young is wrapped up. I don't think there's anyone that can even come close to what Verlander's done this year. It's been literally, he's made it look really, really easy.
2 balls and 2 strikes to count to Johnny Peralta. We'll talk a lot about Justin Verlander throughout the telecast today. There's a lot of discussion as to his candidacy for not only Cy Young but for most valuable player in the American League this year as well, as Peralta punches that ball up in the air and foul. Hasn't happened very often in the last 50 years here with this franchise. The Tigers, pitchers with 21 or more wins in a season. Jack Morris had done it most recently back in 1986. Again, this is only over the last 50 years. So it's a list that does not include the Hal Newhousers and Dizzy Trouts of the world, but you can see Justin Verlander in some pretty good company with names like McLean and Lolich, Morris.
Yeah, and McLean in those 2 years, he won 55 games. 31 one year, 24 the next. That's a pretty solid couple of years.
Another good breaking ball, meanwhile, from Gavin Floyd as Johnny Peralta strikes out.
And that's Gavin Floyd's best pitch. There's no question about it. He came from Philadelphia. Philadelphia had questions about his makeup. Was he mentally strong enough to pitch at the big league level? Came over to Chicago, won 17 games a couple of years ago. Proved he could pitch at this level and has one of the best curveballs in the American League.
Carlos Guillen now with 2 out and the base is empty. Been a rough year for Carlos Guillen. The 3-time All-Star, the veteran, batting just .207 at the start of play. Injuries have certainly been a part of his 2011 campaign. most recently a wrist problem. Turns on that and hammers it into the corner, just fouled.
That ball was smoked. I don't think we'll see Gavin going back to this area on Guillen again. You look at how hard that ball's out of the park, but about 3.5, 4 feet foul.
Did that kid think that he made the catch?
I have no idea, but I bet it stung.
He raised his arms like he thought he had it in there.
Well, see, if he didn't have them glasses on, cool breezing it up, he probably would have caught it.
0-2 meanwhile to Carlos Guillen.
And he blew it right in front of his grandmother.
Take a look. Watch how this guy reacts after it's in and out of the glove, right? And he puts the glove up like, yeah, I got it. Yeah.
Oh, woo! Whole glove full of air. His Meemaw's sitting there going, son, sit down.
This is in the air. It's second base, Beckham. And Gord Beckham, unlike that young fan, makes this catch to retire the side. You'll get another chance, young man, I promise. We'll return to Detroit after a word from your local Fox station. Inside the bunt, and by the makers of New Bayer Advanced Aspirin, the official pain reliever of Major League Baseball. Juan Pierre set to start the visitors' third, a 1-1 ball game early on between the Tigers and the White Sox. Welcome back to Detroit's KONERKO Park. Pierre, Ramirez, and KONERKO against Brad Penny. Juan Pierre lined out to start the ball game earlier today. White Sox got to Brad Penny for the 1 run in the first on a sac fly by AT PIERZYNSKI.
That's a pretty good curveball right there. I think that one was too good. The umpire got fooled.
A ball and a strike to count to Pierre. You mentioned earlier, Mitch, the fact that Juan Pierre is not really what you'd call a threat to hit the 3-run home run. In fact, among players with at least 2,000 hits, and Pierre is about to join that group, since 1900, that's the percentage of what he hits for a single.
I mean, when you're up there around 82, 83%, we saw one of our favorite people, Larry Boa, you see right there, 82.8% of Bo's hits were singles. It's because Bo's bat jumped off the ball.
Oh, man. Well, I'm sure that comment's not going to get back to him either. The 3-1 pitch to Pierre is in for a strike, full count. Juan Pierre has 1,992 career hits, so he's not in the 2,000 hit club yet. Not only does he hit a lot of singles, he's awfully tough to strike out. In fact, the toughest to strike out in all the baseball.
And this is where you just keep the ball down and hope he hits it at someone with a glove in their hand.
Still full 3-2. We're certainly not suggesting those numbers in anything other than a kind of statistical oddity fashion. The fact that the guy hits a lot of singles, that's not the kind of player he is.
No, I mean,
certainly not a criticism.
No, not at all. I mean, a hit's a hit's a hit's a hit. And I'm sure if you look at Ichiro over in Seattle, his number of singles would be amazing.
There's ball 4. So Pierre, with his threat to steal, is aboard to start the inning.
And this is where Juan Pierre has the ability to disrupt Brad Penny. Because now Brad Penny's got to concern himself with, is Pierre going to run? Do I need to quicken my delivery? And I'm a big proponent of, no, you don't quicken your delivery. You change your times, you throw your best stuff to the hitter.
Here's Alexi Ramirez now. He singled and scored that White Sox run in the first.
And you can see right there Brad Penny going to an abbreviated leg kick. You watch Brad Penny. You see that? Now, see how he looks over at Pierre to see what he's doing? He's trying to see what kind of secondary lead Pierre's getting. I've talked to a lot of base runners, great base stealers. Nothing makes a base stealer more uncomfortable than holding the ball on them.
A ball and a strike on Alexi Ramirez now. Well, Juan Pierre is the active stolen base leader in Major League Baseball. And in fact, with his 550 bags, is tied with Cesar Cedeno, the former Astro, for 26th on the all-time list. He's got a bigger lead here on 1-1.
That's a good job right there. That's exactly what I'm talking about. The longer a base runner has to stand over there in that ready position, the tighter and tighter they become. Because a base runner, any base stealer, is going to get to first base, get his lead, and then start counting in his head, how long does it take this guy to deliver the ball? And if you fall into a rhythm as a pitcher, they're going to run you to death.
Ramirez sends another ball out to center field. That's right where his single landed in the first. This time it's handled by Austin Jackson, and Pierre retreats with one away. So now Paul KONERKO. And you're into a spot in the lineup, Mitch, where it's a little harder to give yourself a green light. Sure, KONERKO is a guy that could deliver an extra base hit on which you might be able to score if you've got a running start, but he's also a guy that could deliver a 2-run home run.
That's exactly right. And as a pitcher, what do you want to do? For me, I am going to live on the outer third of the plate. If I show him anything in, it's going to be way in just to make him aware that I'll come in there, but I am not going to try and get him out on the inner third of the plate. I am going to make him beat me the opposite way. So that ball right there, that's on the plate on the inner third. You got away with it, stay away.
Paul KONERKO has been hot, hitting almost 400 the last 2 weeks. Pierre had a huge jump that time and steals second base easily. His 24th bag of the year.
And you can see Pierre absolutely had Penny's routine down right there. You look at the jump, that's what I say. No base is ever stolen off the catcher unless the catcher drops the ball. The base is always stolen off the pitcher.
Alex Avila around 32%. That's right around the league average in terms of his caught stealing percentage. And now Pierre in a position where he can score on a base hit. 1 ball and 1 strike to Paul KONERKO.
And you can see Avila setting up on the outer third of the plate.
Pierre running again and safe once again. And again, a huge jump against Brad Penny. It's like watching Ricky Henderson run wild against Eric Plunk in the early 80s.
And again, that's something that base runners fall into patterns also. I got an out in the '93 World Series because of a scouting report that said Robbie Alomar, after he steals second, tries to steal third first pitch. And sure enough, he stole second on me. Next pitch, I did an inside move, and he was going to third, and we got out of an 8th inning, ended up winning a ball game.
That ball's fouled away. Still 1-2 to Paul KONERKO. When you take a look at some of the active ranks for Juan Pierre, we talked about how his 552 stolen bases is first among active players. He's also the first among active players in steals of third and bunt hits. Infield hits, guess who he trails? Only Ichiro Suzuki in that category.
And if we were talking 6-7 years ago, this would not be that big a deal for Brad Penny, because he had the ability to blow hitters away. Now he's got to make a really good breaking ball and get KONERKO to chase.
KONERKO sticks in there, hanging around, fouling off balls on a 1-2 count. You know, the stolen base has been a problem for Brad Penny this year. It's been kind of an increasing problem the last few years as he has really slowed down his pace of play. The 2 by Pierre here, the 14th and 15th allowed on his watch. He and Rick Porcello have both allowed 15 bags while they're on the mound this year.
Now you see how the infield is up. So that tells me as a pitcher, I want the ball down. That's a good try right there. Again, if he walks him, so what? You got AT PIERZYNSKI standing on deck. He's hit into, what'd you say, Matty, 18, 19 double plays this year?
18 is the number, yeah.
Paul KONERKO is the man that does damage in this lineup.
Again, the infield in, still 2 balls and 2 strikes to KONERKO. And he got him to wave at the slider and strike out.
Perfect. Now he just took himself from being in large trouble. He took the chance and made a good breaking ball and got KONERKO to chase.
Second strikeout for Brad Penny this afternoon, and a big one here is now with 2 away. It's up to AT PIERZYNSKI.
You're not going to get a lot of big league hitters out with strikes. You get outs with balls.
PIERZYNSKI offers at the first pitch and wraps it to second base, and Brad Penny is in and out of trouble in the third. A walk and 2 stolen bases, yet he's able to turn the White Sox away without a run. He'll get the number 9 hitter for the Tigers, Wilson Betamit, and then the top of the order guys, Austin Jackson and Andy Dirks. So 1-1 ball game early on today. Matt Vasgersian here with Mitch Williams, and we are pleased to be joined by White Sox starter Phil Humber, who is joining us via the magic of technology, listening and watching while he sits in the dugout with the visiting Pale Hose this afternoon. Phil, we really appreciate the time, and thanks for joining us. Hey, talk about this pennant race. You guys are still certainly in the mix at 6.5 back as we watch Betamit poke a base hit back up the middle. Talk about the mindset of the club and where you guys are here in the beginning of September.
Well, I mean, it's no secret. You know, we need to win every ball game we can. You know, we dug ourselves a hole, you know, early on in the season. So we've played good baseball of late, and, you know, we need to beat these guys, you know, these next 2 games. And then, you know, like I said, win every game we can. And you know, some of it's out of our control at this point, but you know, we got to do what we can to put the pressure on them.
Phil, I got to ask you, because I've been in the same boat you were in the last week and a half or so, getting hit in the head with a line drive. You've since pitched in a rehab start. Was there any lingering effect? Because I know I pitched the following day, which was probably the best thing. How did you react once you got out there?
You know what? I didn't even think about it. I guess I had forgotten about it. Of course, you're getting ready for a start or whatever, and so most of my focus was just getting out there and hoping that I was going to be able to hit my spots and everything, just from the layoff of not pitching. But you know what? I'm thankful that it wasn't a lot worse, because looking at the replay, it really could have been. So. Yeah, I wasn't flinching or anything like that I could tell. So, you know, that's a good sign, I think.
Well, I ain't going to lie to you. The next day I was throwing and doing some moonwalking towards second after I let go of it.
Yeah, kind of like a softball pitcher.
Exactly.
Back-to-back singles here, meanwhile, by Wilson Betamit and Austin Jackson. That'll bring up Andy Dirks now with nobody out in the inning. Hey, when you guys watch each other start, Phil, you're watching Gavin Floyd today. And it's not like it was in the minor leagues when you're actually sitting in the stands and you're charting pitches, but you guys certainly pay attention to one another. What do you look for when you watch Gavin throw the ball on a day like today?
Well, Gavin's a great guy for me to watch, because we throw similar pitches and have a similar style. So, you know, me and him are catch partners. So, normally I'm watching, you know, to see if I can pick up something he's doing, either good or bad, and that way I can give him some feedback, you know. And we can help each other that way. We do a good job of you know, feeding off each other as a staff. You know, Burley and Peavy, you know, those guys have a lot of experience that they can, you know, share with us, and you know, they're really approachable and really easy to talk to when it comes to that kind of thing. So it's really it's one of those things where when you're not out there pitching, you still have a job to do, and that's, you know, pay attention to everything you can, and along with that, you know, watching the hitters and seeing how they're reacting.
So finish the following statements for us. When Gavin Floyd is going good, blank, and when Gavin Floyd is struggling, blank. What happens in those situations?
I think when Gavin's aggressive in the strike zone, I mean, it's a lot like any of us, but when he's aggressive in the strike zone, yeah, he tends to dominate, because he's got nasty stuff. I mean, his breaking ball is one of the better ones that you'll see. And so, you know what, I think Gavin's one of those guys that doesn't know how good he can be, and we all say that to each other. I mean, he's really talented, and when he's aggressive and going out there and attacking the hitters, he's really good.
Phil, when you get the opportunity, you say he and you and Gavin are much alike. Do you ever spend time in the video room when he's pitching to watch how hitters react to his stuff?
Definitely. I mean, if we're facing the same club, you know, during the same week or series or whatever, you know, if I'm picking another guy to watch, it's going to be Gavin off of our team. So, yeah, I definitely I like to chart his games when I can, and especially when we're pitching against the same guys, because we're going to go about it in similar you know, fashions, but at the same time, you got to keep them guessing. You don't want them to see a mirror image of the same guy back to back. So. You want to see how they're reacting to his pitches, what they're hitting, what they're laying off of. Sometimes hitters lay off of stuff just because they know they're not going to touch it. So you can't always look at it like, you know, I can't throw that pitch because they're not swinging at it. You know, I just need to make it a little better pitch.
Meanwhile, Andy Dirks has done a good job spoiling off Gavin Floyd here. Still a 1-ball, 2-strike count, batting with nobody out, runners at first and second. We're talking with White Sox right-hander Phil Humber here as he prepares to work in doubleheader on Monday. You got game 1 or game 2 against the Twins?
Game 1, yeah, and I like that. You know, I like to go out there. I like pitching day games. I don't know why that is, but I like going out there and getting that 1 o'clock game. I normally I feel pretty good, and I don't know if it's true, but hopefully some of their guys will stay out a little too late and not be quite woke up yet.
Well, I can tell you this: Dirks had better get a base hit or walk, because Jim Leyland asked him to bunt these guys over into scoring position. And if you're going to be a young player for Jim Leyland, you better be able to execute the sacrifice bunt.
The 2-2 home. Dirk swinging away, sends it over the mound. Ramirez gets 1 out at second base, and that's all the White Sox will settle for. Boy, that was headed into a tricky no-man's land part of the infield, and Alexi does a nice job just to ensure the 1 out at second.
That ball was heading into an I got it, you take it deal where it just goes on into center field. So Lexi Ramirez makes a good play on that just to get 1 out.
1 gone, runners at the corners now for Delman Young, who singled and scored the run back in the first. Phil, we're lucky to have you with us in a spot like this where you could actually walk us through maybe what's going on the mound between Gavin Floyd and A.J. Pierzynski. You're obviously trying to dial up a ground ball here. Tell us how you'd go after Delman Young.
Well, I don't know what they talked about before the game, but Delman is a guy that a dangerous hitter. Obviously, he's hitting third for him today. But you know, you want to keep the ball down right here, and you don't want to give him something he's going to be able to lift into the outfield. A strikeout or a ground ball is going to be your best bet. So whatever they're thinking, that looks like.
Right back to Floyd.
There you go.
Wow, are you smart, Phil?
Hey, you get ready for your after baseball life as a pitching coach or a genius or a soothsayer or something, Phil. Thanks for joining us. Good luck on Monday against the Twins.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Chevrolet is sponsored by AT DET, Rethink Possible, and by Burger King, who reminds you to have it your way. Still a 1-1 ball game as we head to the fourth this afternoon. Diane Viciedo leads things off for the White Sox. It'll be Viciedo, Rios, and De Aza as the White Sox try to stay cool down there in that visitors' dugout. Whatever it takes.
It's hard to do, I'm telling you, especially if you're a pitcher.
No, before the game, we were talking about stories back in your vintage, Mitch, when there was AstroTurf at Busch, when Veterans Stadium was hot, and you'd see guys go out in the field with cabbage leaves under their caps that had been in the freezer, and they'd come back in the dugout at the end of an inning and take their shoes off and put them in an ammonia bucket, whatever it takes to stay cool.
Well, the plastic cleats that they wore at Busch Stadium, the turf would melt them. I mean, that's how hot it literally got. I pitched in the game at Veterans Stadium on a Saturday afternoon as we watched this ball being smoked to left. That ball's hanging right there in the middle of the plate. And that's what Brad Penny's got to avoid. And quite simply, Penny has to avoid the middle of the plate with this lineup.
Hey, we have a Twitter question coming in for you, I guess. Does Mitch ever consider sporting a mullet again?
To answer that, for my wife, no.
I can answer that for you. It just depends on what day of the week it is. I've seen you with the mullet every once in a while.
I could grow it again. I've still got the hair to grow it, but looking back on it now, that was a bad look.
Here's Alex Rios with a runner aboard. It's the third straight inning in which the leadoff hitter has reached against Brad Penny. On neither of the first two occasions has that hitter come around to cost him a run. Finish your thought. You were talking about a story where you pitched at Busch Stadium when it was.
Oh, no, it was at the vet. And our starting pitcher had gone 8 innings that day, and I came in to throw the ninth to get a save. It was 177 on the mound. Is what the thermometer
Come on.
I promise you. And our starter went 8 innings.
That's into the left field corner, in trouble as it dumps in front of Delman Young. Back-to-back singles have opened the fourth against Brad Penny. So base hits by Viciedo and now Rios.
And this is the same situation Gavin Floyd got himself in last inning and worked out of it. Now Brad Penny's going to have to bear down. If I'm Ozzie Guillen in this situation, first and second, nobody out, I am making the hitter bunt. Alejandro Diaza is going to have to get a bunt down.
Here comes Jeff Jones now, the Tigers pitching coach, who's going to come out to have a word with Brad Penny.
In the old school of thought, when you know a hitter's going to bunt, you throw high fastballs. The high fastball is the pitch that's hardest to get on the ground. You want them to bunt the ball in the air. And Diaza being a young guy, he better show Ozzie Guillen that he is capable of getting a bunt down. This is one of my biggest pet peeves, people. I was a pitcher. I could walk out there today and get a bunt down. All you're doing is catching the baseball with a bat.
So you're not one of those guys, as we see Diaza pull back a ball and no strikes. You're not one of those guys who's up there apologizing for people saying it's a lot harder than it looks.
No, I don't buy that. For me, there is no excuse. I don't care if you're a power hitter. There is no excuse for not being able to bunt the baseball.
Pitches up and in, 2 balls and no strikes. Penny pitching to Diaza, exactly as you described it. It was done back in the day. Fastballs up, make it hard on the hitter.
Yeah, I mean, typically what you're going to see the hitter do, he's going to set his bat at the top of the strike zone, and anything above that, he shouldn't bunt at.
Popped him up. So they let him swing away on 2-0. And it's a can of corn fly ball for Delman Young.
That's just bad baseball, in my opinion. I mean, you're trying to catch a defense off guard, but you bail a pitcher out, and now Brad Penny is got confidence back. Diaz is upset with himself, as he should be. He's heading back to the bench, and the two guys on first and second are still on first and second. Now they don't have the opportunity to score a run with a fly out or a ground out.
So now Brent Morrow with runners at first and second. Well, the White Sox have had their troubles this year generating offense. With runners in scoring position, they're a .247 hitting team, and that puts them around the back end of the American League, 12th in the circuit. Hitless today with runners in scoring position.
And that's been their problem pretty much all year long, Matty. When you don't score runs, it's because of non-timely hitting.
2 balls and no strikes to the Chicago third baseman. That ball didn't miss by much. 2-0 from Brad Penny. Gordon Beckham waiting next. And you can see the numbers for Morrow. Just a .213 average with runners in scoring position.
And Penny's put himself in another hitter's count.
Wow. Gets a high strike there.
Yeah, he went to a 2-seam fastball and definitely got the benefit of the doubt from the home plate umpire. See, now, me being an ex-pitcher, I think that's a strike. But a lot of people will argue that it's high. I thought if the catcher caught it, it was a strike.
2-1 pitch home to Morrill. He saws him off, and it's 2-2 now. You know, it's worth restating, and you mentioned it regarding Brad Penny. There was a time not too long ago, and in particular the year that he started the All-Star game for the National League as a Dodger, when he was throwing in the upper 90s. In fact, I clearly remember him being clocked at a triple-digit pitch in that All-Star game in the very first inning that year. And those days have long gone.
And trust me, it's no fun. I went from being that guy that could throw in the upper 90s to where my fastball got down around 87, 88. And when you find out you can't make the mistakes you used to be able to make and get away with them, it's not a whole lot of fun. You have to learn how to pitch.
Now, the radar here just said that last fastball was 96 miles an hour. And I know that it's the subject of much debate. Ballpark radar guns, if they're juiced up for the benefit of the fans.
Yes.
Okay, that ends that. There's a breaking ball that slapped to second, could be two. Guillen to Peralta has trouble, and everybody's safe.
Wow.
An error charged to Guillen.
You know, Guillen bobbles this ball and kicks it around a little bit, but I'm going to be curious to see if he did recover in time to get this guy at first base. And you can see the exchange is not clean, but he gathers it and fires to first. I thought he had him with the naked eye. You can't say much about the umpire right there, because when it's that close in slow motion, you take what you get.
So the error by Carlos Guillen loads the bases now for Gordon Beckham.
But I will say this, I am never impressed when I look in a stat line of a pitcher and he's given up a ton of unearned runs. That just tells me that he didn't make the pitches necessary to pick his teammates up when his teammates made an error.
0-1 pitch is shot into right field, a base hit. It'll score at least one. Here's Viciedo. Jeff Cox is going to hold Alex Rios at third, and the White Sox go back out on top on an RBI single by Gord Beckham. A costly error indeed, and it may end up costing Brad Penny and the Tigers even more before the inning is over.
And you look at where this pitch is, that's center cut. The one thing you don't want to do as a pitcher after an error is made, you don't want to lose focus of what you're trying to accomplish on the mound. And Brad Penny, I'm sure, was not intending for that fastball to be middle.
Here's Juan Pierre now with the bases reloaded. Pierre has walked and stolen 2 bases this afternoon. He died at third last inning after stealing both second and third base.
And this is not a guy Brad Penny wants up in a bases loaded situation.
Wrapped to first. Cabrera's coming home. Avila back to first base. And that either hit the base runner or it popped exactly away from Cabrera, and it allows an additional run to score.
This may end up getting reviewed, because if he's out of that box and that ball hit the base runner, he's out.
Pierre is very much in the base path. He did not come out of the line.
No, he is inside. He's inside that base path. He's out. You look at his feet are inside. See how his feet are inside that base path? He's out.
Well, I would have a really hard time if I were Ozzie Guillen.
Yeah, that right there, he's out.
But you have to give the base runner a clear path to first base. But he's not supposed to move to avoid being hit by a throw.
No, but see the box? The box is where the runner has to stay. And I only say this because I was a victim of it. I told you about it earlier. I was smoked in the left elbow on a similar play. They have to be in that runner's box.
We'll take a good look at it again. If they're going to interpret the rules of the base runner's box, the base runner's lane, that strictly, that we're going to have to revisit everything every day.
See how he kind of veered in at the last minute? See, he's fine right there, but now watch him veer to the inside of that line. That should be an out.
You can see how the ball kind of crossed up Cabrera. Well, the run is going to stand. 3-1 White Sox. Wow. Runners at the corners now.
I think Jim Leyland has an absolute argument on that.
Here's Alexi Ramirez. He has singled and scored. Scored that last play, a fielder's choice for Juan Pierre, and an error charged to Avila on the throw down to first.
This is where Brad Penny has to put a stop to the bleeding. He's had a couple of misfortunate plays made behind him. He's got to do the old-time thing and bow his neck and get out of this inning and keep this at a 2-run game. He's got an offense that can score.
Nothing in one, the count to Alexi Ramirez. Runner goes, and it's fouled away. Boy, Pierre had another huge jump that time, too. Turn him loose, right? I mean, you got a guy like Juan Pierre out there. Second base is open.
And Brad Penny's focus is in other places other than Pierre right now. And he's starting to fall into a rhythm with his timing on his delivery of his pitches. And great base stealers, they don't let you get away with that.
And now he's going to try to keep it close. Well, the last time the White Sox scored a run, it was in the top of the first, and Gavin Floyd yielded one to the Tigers in the bottom half.
Now, if I'm Brad Penny here, I hold the ball extra long, then throw over again.
Pierre with another aggressive lead. He stays put, and the pitch to Alexi is swung on and hit in the air out to the corner and left. If it's a fair ball, it's gone. Fair ball, 3-run home run, Alexi Ramirez. And that error to Carlos Guillen hanging even larger. What looked like a double play ball that would have gotten Brad Penny out of the jam, out of the inning altogether, opens the door for a 5-run inning.
2 double play balls. And you see right there, he threw him a breaking ball early in the count that was down that he swung through and made him look bad on. And ahead in the count, He throws him a breaking ball that stays right in the middle of the plate.
Here's Paul KONERKO now. Alexi Ramirez 14th home run, RBIs 56, 7 and 8, and it's the White Sox on top 6-1. Let's go back to that play with Guillen. And Mitch, as you guessed, his recovery was such that they still had the out at first.
Yeah, they did still have the out at first. You see the ball's in the glove. His foot is clearly not on the bag. Yeah, he's out there. So the next play where Miguel Cabrera, he would have just had to step on first for the final out. They're out of this inning. And it's led to 5 runs.
For the 5 runs this inning against Brad Penny, unearned. That's if no consolation to the Tigers. Down by 5 here in the 4th. 2 balls and a strike to Paul KONERKO. Hit hard past Betamid into the left field corner. KONERKO doesn't run well at this point in his career, but even Paulie is into second with a stand-up double.
And I think this is the problem that's plagued Brad Penny this year. When he does get in trouble, he has such a hard time stopping the bleeding. You have got to be able to regroup, gather yourself, and make pitches to bring a halt to an inning that's getting out of hand. And so far, as we've seen, he has not been able to do that.
Well, the White Sox have batted around now. It's AT PIERZYNSKI, the 9th Chicago hitter to come to the plate this inning. Alexi Ramirez is homered. 5 hits in the inning so far. And that has prompted some activity in the Tigers bullpen behind Brad Penny. It's right-hander David Paulie, who has just begun an assignment rather early. Only in the 4th inning today.
And speaking from an ex-pitcher standpoint, you have a tendency of thinking about what has happened rather than what you need to do.
Well, what has happened in this 4th is that the White Sox bat around. They score 5 runs on 5 hits. Alexi Ramirez with the big blow, and at the end of 3.5, it's 6-1 Sox. Saturday baseball presented by Chevrolet. A 6-1 lead for the White Sox after they played 5 runs in the top half of the 4th. So Gavin Floyd, being staked to his biggest advantage of the afternoon, goes to work against the heart of the Tigers' order here in the 4th. Cabrera, Martinez, and Avila. Miguel Cabrera extended an 8-game hitting streak with a double back in the 1st. Sharply hit to short. Alexi flags it down at his head, spins and gets him at first. That is pure self-defense out there at shortstop.
That right there is just tremendous reaction time. And not only does he have pop, he's got great range, great hands, and great reactions. As you see him get to that ball, pop up. He knows he's got time because Miguel Cabrera's running. Makes a good throw to first.
1 out now for Victor Martinez. Martinez flied to right in his first plate appearance today.
And this is what Gavin Floyd has got to do. They've given him a 5-run lead. Don't go out there nibbling. Martinez cannot hit a 5-run homer. You go out there, make your pitches, and see how quick you can get back in that dugout.
Nothing in 2 the counts of Victor Martinez. Saw his robust career line against Gavin Floyd a moment ago. Well, one of the issues that's been a part of this storyline for both of these two teams this year, Mitch, has certainly played a role today. And that's the work on the defensive side of the scorecard. It's been very good for the White Sox most of the year. In fact, only the Rays have committed fewer errors this year among American League teams. That has not been the story for the Tigers.
Well, and you'll see, if you give big league lineups that have really good hitters in them 4 and 5 outs an inning, they're going to make you pay. You're not going to get away with it on a regular basis.
2 balls and 2 strikes to Victor Martinez. Alex Avila waiting next with the bases empty. Full count now.
And I always found that if you have a hitter that owns you and you've tried everything you can try to get him out, just throw him a dead fish fastball. Let him get himself out.
Here's the full count offering home to Martinez. Swung on and lined into the opposite field, a clean base hit. Hard to believe, but next week it's already here. The regular season begins with a Fox NFL Sunday doubleheader. First, the Falcons battle the Bears in Chicago. 2 of the NFC's best go head-to-head. Or you'll see the Lions take on the Buccaneers or the Eagles and Rams. Then on America's Game of the Week, the Vikings square off with the Chargers in San Diego. Some will see the Giants and Redskins. Coverage begins next week. The Fox NFL Sunday pregame show at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Check the local listings in your area for the games in time you'll be seeing them. Here's Alex Avila, 1 out, 1 on.
Very, very good breaking ball first pitch out of Gavin Floyd right there. And until Avila proves he can hit that pitch, I think Gavin's got to keep throwing it.
Alex was nice enough to take a little time and help us with our broadcast open this afternoon. Florida native, and I'm just guessing by virtue of where he grew up as that one bounces away from PIERZYNSKI. Just guessing a Dolphins fan. Could be wrong, you know?
Yeah.
Might have latched on to the Lions. Big expectations here locally for the Detroit football team this year.
4-0 preseason, is that what I heard?
Yeah, they've seen that movie before here, though. I want to be Debbie Downer. Alex trying to pick up a base runner here with 1 out.
Now, the one thing you have to realize that if this 1 run, say Avila can drive in Martinez from second, that gives this Tiger team life. You want a shutdown inning right here. You don't want to give anything back. You got the benefit of a couple errors made the previous inning to where it led to 5 runs. You don't want to give any of those 5 runs back in this inning.
2 balls and a strike to count to Alex Avila. On the ground, sharply hit to KONERKO, who'll do it himself. Martinez to third, and there are 2 away in the inning. We'll update you on some scores from other venues a little later on in the telecast. As we talked about earlier, the Red Sox and Rangers are at it this afternoon, playing early today. There's Johnny Peralta now. I know a lot of fans in places like Boston and New York, and those are 2 markets where the assumption is there will be postseason baseball there. A lot of discussion on who they'd rather play in the short division series. And that's something Mitch and I will get into a little bit later on today.
There could be some interesting matchups, that's for sure.
You know, it's hard to give a response to that without sounding like you're disrespecting somebody, and that's why so many players step away from that question so diplomatically. But I have to guess, Mitch, and you were in this position as a player, you're looking at the standings, you're looking at the scoreboards, and you're thinking to yourself, we might match up better against these guys as opposed to those guys.
Well, any team that plays 162 games, you know, especially as a pitching staff, who you match up better against. And so you can't help but say, I would rather pitch to this lineup than I would this lineup. So anybody that says they don't look at that, they're lying.
2 balls and a strike to count to Johnny Peralta. Ozzy's hoping that that's something he'll have to worry about this year. For the White Sox to get back in it, it's going to take this one and a lot more. As Mitch and I talked about when we went on the air today, after this afternoon, only 4 left head-to-head between the White Sox and the Tigers. And it's hard to count on help from other teams in the division when the rest of the schedule is basically in the division.
Exactly. And the only other team in this division that is within reach is the Cleveland Indians.
Not a lot of examples in the recent past, Mitch, of teams coming back from enormous deficits. I mean, you're talking about that 95 Mariners comeback. That was the biggest in the last number of years. That's for a division title. And a called strike 3 taken by Peralta. A runner left stranded in the 4th. We played 4 complete. It's still 6-1 Chicago. the top of the 5th inning, looking for better results than what happened in the 4th when the White Sox got to him for 5 runs. Only 4 of them were earned. 4 of them were unearned, that is. So on the bad end of a 6-1 score, he'll stick around and pitch to Dayan Viciedo, the guy that started his trouble in the 4th with the base hit.
And he started Viciedo with a changeup right there. Viciedo way out in front of it.
Viciedo, Rios, and De Aza here in the White Sox 5th. Chopper out there to short for Peralta. Chevrolet proudly supports the great game of baseball at all levels. See how they're making kids' baseball dreams come true across the USA at ChevyBaseball.com. Chevrolet playing such a big part of Tiger baseball here in the Motor City, of course.
And we can take a look here. That's a slider right there. They're going to start Rios with a slider in this at bat, and that completely backed up on him.
Ball and no strikes to Alex Rios, who is 2 for 2 so far today. Boy, can you hear that wind whipping around out there?
It is. The flags don't seem to be doing much, but it's definitely whipping around the inside of the stadium.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that noise translates on your TV screen as it does for us here in our headphones. But that wind is an indication that there is weather on the way.
The booth is already full of hot air. Going fastball in right here. And that's Brad Penny's two-seamer. And this is a guy, Brad Penny, that never messed with the two-seam fastball. This was a guy that, like I said, he would go out there and just blow 4-seam fastballs right by guys.
2 balls and 2 strikes that count to Alex Rios. Rangers and Red Sox are going at it. We'll update you on that one in just a bit. Well, Texas really did a number on Boston's pitching staff yesterday.
They're going fastball away right here, coming off a changeup that Rios pulled foul. Wow.
Yanked it.
Not even close.
Boy, and that came up and caught Alex Avila. It looked like underneath the chin protector.
And that right there is the toughest pitch for a catcher, because you don't see how his glove is. If he's looking for a slider down, he's got his glove turned the other way. A fastball, you never expect a fastball to be thrown in the dirt. That's why his glove is turned the way it's turned. Very little protection on that kind of pitch.
The full count pitch home is a broken bat roller out to second base for Guillen. And that's out number 2. It's time for a DirecTV game break. We talked about the Rangers and Red Sox added at Fenway Park, and the ex-Ranger Jared Saltalamacchia having a fine year. Career highs across the board offensively. He hits a 2-home run that ties it at 3. Red Sox trying to even up that series, get every big league game and the most in HD. Call 800 DirecTV.
Saltalamacchia has finally become what the Braves thought he could possibly be, what the Rangers thought he could be. I think he's found himself a home there in Boston.
Here's Alejandro De Aza now. He takes strike 1. Alejandro De Aza hoping he's found himself a home on the south side of Chicago. And for a young player that really hasn't made a huge impact at the major league level yet, he has been rather well traveled. Signed with the Dodgers back in 2001. The Marlins chose him in the Rule 5 draft in December of 2004. Finally, he was claimed by the White Sox on the waiver wire last 2 Octobers ago, October of 09. And seems to have played his way into the plans. A swing and a drive, well hit out to right field. Andy Dirks looking up, and that one is gone. Solo shot for Alejandro De Aza. 7-1 Pale Hogs. Well, he got around the bases there on a home run trot like there was a stopwatch on him, Mitch.
Well, that's what you're supposed to do. And you know what? This is what I don't understand. Watch where the umpire sets in. This is a prior pitch, the backdoor breaking ball. See how the umpire is set up on the inner third of the plate? He's blind to that pitch. And then Brad Penny tries to come back in.
Tried to come into Brent Morrill. And that one's gone. Back to back go the White Sox here in the 5th. Santa Maria.
And Tiger fans are not happy right now.
On consecutive pitches, the 7 and 8 hitters go deep. 8-1 White Sox.
Well, you look at this pitch, you see Avila set up outside. Brad Penny missed by 1.5 feet with that pitch. He's set up, Avila set up on the outer third, and he missed on the inner third.
Here's Gordon Beckham now. Oh, my. And he loses one up high to Beckham.
I'll be surprised if we don't see Jim Leland here pretty quick, because Brad Penny he's kind of falling apart out there.
Joaquin Benoit and David Pauly up in the bullpen. Pauly had been up earlier.
I would be surprised to see Benoit in this game, in this situation. I would think that Leland would want to get Pauly the work, because he's going to need him down the stretch.
Not to mention, if I had suggested to you that the Tigers were going to spend the kind of money they spent on Joaquin Benoit in the offseason to be a mop-up guy in the middle innings, you'd have said I was nuts.
Yeah, and his season started off horribly. He's gotten progressively better as the year has gone on. And if the Tigers are to get into the postseason and move forward, they're going to have Benoit.
That lineout puts an end to a troubling 5th inning. Back-to-back home runs have made it an 8-1 White Sox lead. Runs on 10 hits. It was back-to-back home runs in the 5th by Alejandro De Aza and Brent Morrill. They came on consecutive pitches against Brad Penny. And that explains your 8-1 White Sox lead, or at least part of it. So Gavin Floyd buoyed by some more support. Will go back to work. He'll get Carlos Guillen, Wilson Bedamit, and in the top of the order, Austin Jackson.
And the worst thing Floyd could do right now is nibble. You want to go at these guys, make them swing the bat.
A ball and a strike to count to Carlos Guillen. You know, this has been the White Sox, Mitch. This has been just a little slice of their season. Last night, completely shut down by Justin Verlander. By the way, nobody's going to hate him for that.
No.
Today, they look like world beaters. Floyd's pitched out of some jams. The lineup has functioned perfectly. They did what they were supposed to do against Brad Penny, a number 5 starter. But it's been one step up and one step back for a White Sox team that's really confused a lot of their fans this year.
Well, and looking ahead to if Detroit does make the postseason, I don't see how Brad Penny fits into that picture. Unless it's in a bullpen role. Not the way Fister's thrown the ball since he's come over here from Seattle.
Full count, 3 balls and 2 strikes. The count to Carlos Guillen. For the White Sox, though, as they make those little runs, and they'll snap off a little stretch where they win 5 out of 6, and then it's the exact opposite as Guillen hits a ball past Gord Beckham on into right. Leadoff hitters aboard in the 5th. Gavin Floyd into the 5th inning now, allowing the 1 earned run. The schedule is not real friendly for Chicago in that, first of all, they've got 2 doubleheaders left, including today. They play 27 games in the final 26 days of the season. Their Sunday Monday coming up this weekend is no fun, as Bedamit swings at the first pitch and sends it out to left center. Pierre and Rios negotiate this one, and there's 1 away. Fox Saturday Baseball is sponsored by Chevrolet, proud to support youth baseball across the country. And the White Sox will be seeing much of that country in the next 48 hours. Sunday and Monday, back to what we were discussing. In fact, they could take one of those Camaros out there. 3 games in 27 hours covering 2 states. So when you're trying to make a run, as Austin Jackson lays off the first pitch, not only are you running out of time, but you're under duress in terms of the schedule.
You are, and that becomes a mental game. It's a mind over matter thing. If you don't mind, it don't matter.
2-0.
And again, this is what Gavin Floyd's got to avoid. You don't want to start falling behind guys, putting hitters in hitters counts, because I don't see Ozzie Guillen going real long with him. I don't think Ozzie's not going to make the mistake of letting this game slip away from him. Floyd may be hurt.
Oh boy. You know, Ozzie saw something immediately there, and he started squirming around and hopped right up onto the top step. This is how Floyd reacted to spotting his manager coming out. He said, no, I'm all right. I'm good. We shall see.
Well, let's see if there's anything odd in this delivery. Yeah, he rolled his ankle a little bit. His landing ankle. I never had to worry about that. I landed on my glove.
2-0 pitch to Austin Jackson would suggest otherwise. Into the left center field gap. Guillen's going to come around and score easily. Jackson can fly.
Wow.
He's into third easily.
One day in my life, I just wanted to run like that. I was the first player in the history of my high school to have an inside the park home run turned into getting thrown out at third sliding.
Watch Austin Jackson pick him up and put him down. And this is the kind of ballpark, Mitch, where out in that gap, you're going to see your share of 3 base hits.
Look at the strides on this kid. Look how still his head is. That's how a sprinter runs. Sprinters are taught to keep their heads still. That kid knows how to run.
The 10th triple of the season for Austin Jackson.
11 seconds to get to third base.
0-1 the count to Andy Dirks.
It takes me 11 seconds to get from the couch to the fridge. And that's if I'm hurrying.
In a golf cart.
You've seen me drive a golf cart, Matty.
I want no part of that ever again, by the way. 1-1 strike to count to Dirks. That 10th triple by Austin Jackson, by the way, ties him with Curtis Granderson for the American League lead. Dirks yanks that one into the corner and foul. Austin Jackson is such an exciting player as Ozzie tries to keep himself cool. He's really established himself on both sides of the scorecard this year.
They always knew he was going to be an outstanding center fielder. They weren't sure he was going to be able to hit consistently at this level. But he's proven he can do that.
Oh, Floyd just misses that time. It's 2 balls and 2 strikes.
I don't think he just missed, but the umpire called it a ball. And I'll be surprised if we see Gavin Floyd come back out after this inning, because Ozzie, talking to him before the game, has such confidence in his bullpen right now.
A swing and a miss at a breaking ball in the dirt. Big strikeout there for Gavin Floyd. We talked about Austin Jackson establish himself on both sides of the scorecard. Maybe the most exciting finish of the season came just about a month, not even a month ago, at the end of August. A ball into center field on which not only did Jackson make the catch for out number 2, but was able to double off Kosuke Fukudome with a terrific play at the plate. Alex Avila was just as brilliant there. That in a game in which the Indians at one point had come back from a 7-1 deficit to make it a 1-run game. And that double play consummated at the plate ended the ball game. A terrific throw by Austin Jackson. Here's Delman Young now with 2 away.
And typically center fielders are not known for having the greatest throwing arms. But there's a couple of center fielders in this game right now. Andrew McCutchen, Shane Victorino, obviously Jackson. They can throw the ball as well as go get it.
1-1 strike to count to Delman Young. Boy, he squared up on that ball and hits it up and over the wall. That one is gone. That got out of here in a hurry on the fat part of the bat and driven out of here. 2-run shot for Delman Young, and the Tigers are right back in this ball game.
Delman hitting him here in Detroit like his older brother did, Dimitri. That's a hanging breaking ball just at the top of the zone. And a hanging breaking ball will get out of the park in a hurry.
An 8-4 ball game now. Here's Miguel Cabrera, who takes a strike. The home run for Delman Young is 7th of the year. He's really responded since coming over to the Tigers and picking up about 20 games in the standings after leaving Minnesota. 0-2 now to Miguel Cabrera. Will Oman is up. The first bit of bullpen activity behind Gavin Floyd today. the broadcasters like to say, still plenty of baseball left in this one tonight, folks. 0-2 the count to Cabrera. Not biting on the breaking ball off the plate.
And I can tell you, if this was a 2-run game and Gavin Floyd isn't able to get Cabrera out, even with it being in the 5th inning, I don't believe Floyd would face Martinez. I think Ozzie Guillen would want to switch him around.
Into center field and well hit. Rios back at the wall. He has it for the final out of the inning. And Miguel Cabrera gave it a ride. All told, however, the Tigers get right back in it. 2 of the 3 on Delmon Young's 7th home run of the year. It's 8-4 White Sox. Trucks and crossovers, and by Michelin, a better way forward. Back with Mitch Williams, Matt Vasgersian, 8-4 White Sox as we start the 6th inning. A home run has certainly been a part of the story today. Alexi Ramirez with a 3-run shot for Chicago. Alejandro De Aza and Brent Morrell went back-to-back for the Sox in the 5th. And most recently, a 2-run home run by Delmon Young has made the score 8-4 White Sox. Top of the order, Pierre Ramirez and KONERKO taking swings against a new pitcher for the Tigers. His right-hander David Pauley takes over for Brad Penny here.
David Pauley has one job: keep the game where it is right now.
Pauley came over from the Mariners with Doug Fister just before the trading deadline on the 30th of July. The deal that sent Charlie Furbush to the Pacific Northwest. And Pauley's number has been called often this year between the two uniforms. He is 3rd among All-American League relievers with over 64 innings of work this season, as you take a look at the other guy that came here from Seattle. Ball and 2 strikes, the count to Juan Pierre. Slap back up the middle, a base hit. So once again, the Tigers will have to contend with his speed aboard to lead off an inning. Well, if you're thinking about Jim Leyland's team and their ability to come back today, their largest comeback this season wasn't too long ago, a couple of weeks ago, a 5-run comeback at Baltimore. The last time they came back from a 7-run deficit, like the one they faced earlier today, You have to go back 3 years. Here's Alexi Ramirez now with the leadoff hitter aboard and a breaking ball taken for a strike. The 3-run home run for Alexi back in the 4th, his 14th of the year. You know, Mitch, we talk about that trade that the Tigers made with the Mariners that brought David Pauly and Doug Fister. And for a lot of people, it addressed what was one of the Achilles heels moving forward for the Tigers, and that's rotation depth behind Justin Verlander. In your mind, did the Fister acquisition, did it address that?
Oh, I think absolutely it did. He's come over here. He's thrown the ball extremely well. He threw the ball really well in Seattle. He just didn't have any offense. He suffered from an extreme lack of run support over there. I believe his record was 3-12, 3-12, but he had a 3 ERA. You got a 3 ERA in the American League, you're doing some pretty good pitching.
Well, let's take a look at the Tigers 1 through 5, and these are the names that Jim Leland, and you saw Dave Dombrowski a moment ago. This is the group from which they'll select in a postseason situation. Again, making that assumption they get there. Verlander, the unquestioned ace. Max Scherzer has been very inconsistent this year and pitched poorly his last time out. Then it's Fister, Rick Porcello, the third-year right-hander who also has been troubled by inconsistencies, and Brad Penny, who is likely not to pitch in the postseason, at least in a starter capacity. Very close at first base. Pierre just back.
Well, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say if they're in a postseason situation, Fister is going to be the number 2 guy. Scherzer has the electric stuff, but as we saw in his last start, he struggles so much with repeating his mechanics that his fastball can get flat, his breaking ball can get flat, and when that happens, he becomes very common and very hittable.
Nothing in 1, the count to Paul KONERKO, who's got a couple of base hits on his line today. A single in the first, doubled in the 4th. On the ground to third. Betamit to Guillen. Back to Cabrera, the double play. It goes around the horn, and it takes care of the White Sox in the 6th. Still 8-4 Chicago. David Pauly worked the top of the inning. Will Oman gets the bottom half of the sixth, making his 48th appearance of the season. 9 of his last 10 appearances have been of the scoreless variety. He's been a part of a White Sox bullpen that has been very effective here since August 13th. An ERA and an opponent's batting average well under 2 and 200 respectively.
And speaking with Ozzie Guillen before the game, he has a tremendous amount of confidence in his bullpen.
Victor Martinez will lead things off for the Tigers. Martinez, Avila, and Peralta here against Will Oman, the veteran left-hander, set to go to work on behalf of Gavin Floyd, whose afternoon is curtailed after 5 innings today. In line for the win will be his 13th if the Sox bullpen can hold here in the 6th, 7th, and 8th, and 9th.
And Will Oman is a guy that I thought 4 or 5 years ago I saw him with the Braves, and I thought, wow, this is a left-hander that's going to be in the big leagues and dominating. And he has bounced around a ton over the last 3 or 4 years.
A great play at second by Gordon Beckham. My goodness. That ball was absolutely smoked and ticketed for right center field.
And he bent it like Beckham right here. Really, really good play, and he made that play with his feet.
Second best fielding percentage in the American League. Will Oman appreciates him. Perhaps en route to a Gold Glove this year. At .993 fielding percentage is best among second basemen. Here's Alex Avila now with one away.
The sad part about that award, it very rarely goes to the best fielding player at that position if they're not doing anything offensively as well.
Oh, 0-1 to Avila, and Alex swings and misses to put himself in an 0-2 hole. Still working on that streak is Avila, in which he has reached base safely in 28 consecutive games. No small task for a catcher. And this is a guy who played in 18 straight at one point this season.
As a catcher, if you're playing in 18 straight, you're hitting, you have a strong lower half.
And caught looking at a called strike 3. Well, given we're into the bullpen for both sides, that's a shot of Shane Lindsay, a right-handed reliever who came up and made his major league debut yesterday. See, he's born in Melbourne, Australia, and is the first Australian native to play for the White Sox. Here's a better look at Shane. There was a story going around in the White Sox clubhouse today, and Ozzie Guillen shared it with Mitch and I as Johnny Peralta steps in. Shane's mother flew all the way from Australia yesterday to get to Detroit. She did not have to endure her son wearing that because she got here during the game.
They've got bugs that big in Australia, by the way.
A little rookie hazing there for Shane. Anyway, his mother flew here from Australia. A 30-hour journey. And apparently his mom is as proud as can be of Shane, but she doesn't know a whole lot about baseball. So she bought a ticket, didn't know how to get to the ballpark, didn't know about any of the culture around baseball, bought a ticket, wanted to say hello to her son and make sure he knew that she was here. She didn't know where he'd be. She didn't know that relievers sat in a bullpen. As that ground ball is handled by Ramirez. Well, the long end of the story is that Shane's mom found him. She went down to the bullpen, sat behind the bullpen all game, and got to watch her son make his major league debut. Presented by Chevrolet. The White Sox on top of the Tigers 8-4 as we're into the back third this afternoon under darkening skies. A.J. PIERZYNSKI swings it against David Pauly. It'll be PIERZYNSKI, Viciedo, and Rios here in the seventh. White Sox on top, 8 runs on 11 hits. 3 home runs for Chicago today. 4 runs on 8 hits for the homestanding Tigers. And we mentioned the darkening skies, Mitch, because there are thunderstorms in the forecast for this evening.
They are a brewing.
And here they come, right?
I'm lucky that way, though. I think they're going to hold off. Wow, that guy behind the plate right there acted like there was no screen. I heard him scream from up here.
I heard him as well. Two balls and a strike to PIERZYNSKI, who's driven in a run today. It was the first run of the ball game on a sac fly. 2 balls and 2 strikes. You know, that deal that brought David Pauly and Doug Fister to the Tigers, and we talked about it last inning, it has helped not only the Tigers, but that's that rarest of deals that involves 3 teams that's good for every one of them.
Right.
Fly ball out to center field for Austin Jackson.
And I think that's the whole idea behind trades. I mean, you're going to get some lopsided trades where you get rid of a guy that you think can help another club and he ends up not doing anything. Like every team that traded me, the team that was getting me thought they were getting something special, and they didn't.
Here's Diane Viciedo now. He's 1 for 3 so far today. Well, the future seems to be now for this young Chicago DH/outfield prospect. Viciedo was an all-star playing on the Cuban national team as a 16-year-old. Signed with the White Sox a few years ago and is being given every opportunity to play this year in the face of disappointing seasons for some of the veterans. A chopper out to third. Bedamit's got it. 2 away. Hey, next week on Fox Saturday Baseball, the Twins are here in Detroit to take on these Tigers. Some will see the Indians and the White Sox in Chicago. Next week's Fox Saturday Baseball telecast presented by Chevrolet begins at 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific. Check local listings for the game and start time in your area. So here's Alex Rios now after 2 quick outs to open the inning. And Rios picks on the first pitch and pops it into shallow right. Dirks is in, Guillen is out. Andy Dirks makes the catch, and it's a 1-2-3 inning in the 7th. Up and stretching at Comerica Park with the Tigers down by 4. By Sprint altogether now. And by Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Well, the Tigers down to their last 9 outs, and we might be down to our last moments of rain-free atmosphere today as the skies have darkened even more since last we spoke. Here is Carlos Guillen leading things off in the home half of inning number 7. It's the 8-9, then top of the order batters here against Will Oman. The switch hitters Guillen and Bedamit, and then Austin Jackson.
I'm keeping a positive attitude, Matty. I don't think we're going to get hit.
Guillen checks a swing out to first, and on the appeal, Eric Cooper says he went around. It's 0-2. A sold-out crowd here at KONERKO Park this afternoon. Over 40,000 in attendance. Fans have responded to what the Tigers have been able to do on the field the past couple of years. A drive out to center that Rios will be able to handle for out number 1. Boy, talk about the Cadillac.
Wow.
My goodness. Straight Ricky Henderson style.
Always cool until you drop it.
Fans have responded to this 2011 Tiger team, and it's a unit that's going to have its picture up on the wall of a number of different homes in the offseason. They took the team photo yesterday on a 94-degree afternoon. They were wearing the turtlenecks.
That looks comfortable.
That, of course, was the wishes of owner Mike Ilitch.
That
Wilson
ball
Bedamit
squished.
has just left the yard. Boy, it is really flying around tonight. The 5th home run of the ball game. It's an 8-5 affair.
And as we look around the ballpark, the wind is blowing straight down right now, as in there is none. That's a hanging breaking ball. You don't expect a hitter to be on a breaking ball. That's just a get me over first pitch breaking ball.
It's going to be all for Will Oman. Ozzie Guillen's going back to the bullpen, and we'll be right back.
I don't want to turn it on now just because it's giving the advantage. But now, if it gets still going along and we start getting even darker, then go ahead and flip them on. But otherwise, wait.
Okay, I sent the guys to the pit. We've got some stuff that's just starting to flare up in the area.
Okay.
They said there's one shower if it gets to us 20 to 30 minutes away, but it should only be about a 5-minute shower. And right now it's like, you look at the colors on the radar, the greens,
right.
It's like green and blue.
Okay.
So it's like a shower.
Not heavy. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you got a weather update right there from home plate umpire Jeff Kellogg and the head groundskeeper here at Komnerko Park, Heather Nabosny. We thank Jeff for wearing a microphone for us today. That's the status. And they were discussing when to turn the lights on. They are on now quite clearly as Jesse Crane takes over in the bottom half of the 7th. The Betamede home run making it a 3-run ball game now. Austin Jackson's had a big afternoon, 2 for 3 with an RBI triple. He's extended his hitting streak to 14 straight. Jackson came to the Tigers, of course, in another deal that was good for a few clubs.
Yes, most definitely.
I mean, that you talk about deals that benefit more than just one team.
Austin Jackson was outstanding for the Tigers last year, and Curtis Granderson probably going to be the MVP of the American League this year.
Ian Kennedy goes to Arizona in that trade, and there's a base hit for Austin Jackson. The tying run will stand into the on-deck circle now. Andy Dirks the batter. It's been only one Tigers comeback from 7 runs down at Komnerko Park. And in 2003, it was a particularly rotten year for baseball here then. That was the comeback needed in order to avoid a 120th loss of the season.
Wow. That's a lot of losses, people. I can't even begin to explain how long a year that is.
Andy Dirks now with Jackson aboard. Checked at it is Ryan Rayburn, a pinch hitter here with 1 away and 1 on. Breaking ball got away from Crane. 1 ball and 1 strike to Ryan Rayburn. By the way, Jesse Crane has been very good of late. 7 straight scoreless appearances. A base hit by Austin Jackson, a rarity in that Crane has been particularly stingy against the first batter he has faced this year. That group before Jackson's single hitting a collective 128. Take a look at the move again. Jackson back on a close play at the bag.
And you want to keep the double play in order. That is why Crane is trying so hard to keep Jackson at first base.
Jackson runs. Pierzynski's throw takes a bounce. And it's stolen base number 20 for Austin Jackson this year.
This is a curious move on Jim Leyland's part. He's pinch hitting Rayburn, a right-handed hitter, for Dirks, a left-handed hitter, against Crane, a right-handed pitcher. Interesting move.
Well, Rayburn had been swinging a hot bat, but again, based on the matchups, it is a curious decision. And 2 balls and 2 strikes to Ryan Rayburn.
And you see Leyland, he's always marching around thinking. And Ozzie and Don Cooper trying to figure out who they're going to go to next. They want this game in the hands of Sergio Santos. But they got to get through this inning in the 8th to get that done.
Swing and a miss. Challenged him with a fastball, and Rayburn strikes out. You know, maybe the reason Rayburn was in there to begin with is that he had had previous success against Jesse Crane. 5 for 10 prior to that pinch hit strikeout.
That does explain it, but Crane got that fastball in a really good spot. elevated just enough to where there was no way Rayburn could get the barrel of the bat to it. And we look at Chris Sale, and he makes me look like I weigh 400 pounds when I was a rookie. And I only weighed $170.
0-1 the count to Delman Young. Young is homered and singled today. I mean, clearly, this is where the inning has to end if you're the White Sox. You want nothing to do with Miguel Cabrera. So now 0-2 on Delman Young. Well, he likes these White Sox, whether as a Twin or as a Tiger, a .343 career hitter.
Steve Kemp. There's a blast from the past. Actually, a teammate of mine. Back with the Texas Rangers. Great story about Steve Kemp. The first time his parents ever saw him play. Doubleheader, Anaheim. Nolan Ryan, Frank Tanana, 0 for 8, 8 punch-outs. Welcome to the big league, son.
Oh, I think they'd seen him play at USC and establish himself a little bit. Right? They knew their boy had a chance despite that day. The good career.
What a bad day to have to face Nolan Ryan and Frank Tanana in their prime.
That's a rough debut. Ball and 2 strikes to count to Delman Young. That one misses up and in. 2 balls and 2 strikes now. Again, looming on deck is Miguel Cabrera.
Woo, we got a little light show going out there in right center.
Fans responding to the lightning. Jesse Crain hoping to keep the thunder in the on-deck circle here. Out of the stretch. The 2-2.
Fouled back up by us. And Matty, every time I see lightning, I think back to what Lee Trevino said when someone asked him what he did when he was on a golf course and he saw lightning. He said, I would run to my bag and grab my 1-iron and hold it straight up in the air. And they said, why? And he said, because God can't hit a 1-iron.
2 balls and 2 strikes to Delman Young. It'll go full. If you're thinking about the fact that there's a base open, don't even think about that, because that guy represents the tying run. He's on deck, and there's no way Jesse Crain gives in to face Miguel Cabrera with 2 on.
Now I want to see where the catcher goes. They're going away. Actually got away with the pitch. It was a little up and out over the plate. And this is what good hitters do. You get to a 3-2 count, you spoil pitchers' pitches. The more pitches a pitcher has to make, the better chance you have of him making a mistake.
Jackson off second, 2 gone in the inning. And the payoff once more. Swung on and missed. Challenged him with a fastball, and Delman Young couldn't lay off. 1 on the Bet-A-Meat home run. We head to the 8th. It's 8-5 White Sox. In relief for the Tigers is Alejandro De Aza leads things off. Bottom of the third for the White Sox in the top half of the eighth. And Mother Nature is a huffing and a puffing on us as we speak. In fact, the winds, which have really picked up and are blowing out right to left, have driven many fans for either the overhangs because they know what's coming next or the parking lots altogether. And De Aza with a swinging bunt ground ball to second. It is really blowing out there. You can hear it and you can see it.
It hadn't been 10 minutes since that center field flag was laying straight down.
See Ryan Rayburn out there taking over in right for Andy Dirks, for whom he pinch hit.
Someone better put some rocks in Chris Sale's pockets.
Here's Brent Morrill now. He's homered tonight. Shows bunt and pulls back to take a strike.
We're going to take a look at De Aza's swing and how it's kind of like a swing and bunt. And you know, the guy that used to do this when I played was Tony Fernandez. And he did it and did it well. Here we go. You see how he's running up in the box? He stays in the box because if he makes contact with that ball outside the box, he's out.
I'll tell you, there are very few players that can translate that into success. Ichiro is in a class by himself.
Well, that was even a little different than Ichiro.
You know, sometimes it appears a guy gets caught in between, and that's the result. Do you think he was up there trying to do that?
Yeah, a lot of times I think what it is, Matty, is he's just trying to catch the infield off guard. I know Tony Fernandez used to do it, and he did it a lot, but he did it well, and what he did really well was go the other way with it.
Ball and 2 strikes, the count to Brent Morrill. I mean, to tell you, the animals are doubling up in greater Detroit right now. We are moments away from some big time rain.
And I haven't seen a drop fall yet. There's people rushing out of the stadium.
And a swing and a miss.
I'll tell you,
records the strikeout. There were 2 gone.
David Pauly has done an extremely good job of keeping this game where it's at.
He has allowed just 1 base hit, and that was Pierre's single in the 6th. But he's pitched to the minimum. Got a double play ball that inning, so 8 up. And he is still working to the minimum. Here's Gordon Beckham now with 2 gone. Catches the corner for a strike. Beckham drove in a run back in the 4th and played some terrific defense today as well. As you can see, the Tigers grounds crew all ready to spring into action. Was it here or was it in Cleveland where earlier this year there was that funny video that would have been scary had the guy not been okay, of the grounds crew guy getting sucked up by the tarp, Vince Coleman style?
I'm not sure where that was, but he fell down in front of it.
Keep your feet, grounds crew. It's a 1-2-3-8. Hopefuls who have had recent fall success.
Nunez 0 for 2 in his career against Houston Street. In the air, left field, the Tigers march to the World Series. With KONERKO, he rips one in the left. KONERKO, grand slam.
Tigers got there in 06. A year before, the White Sox won the whole thing, and they're trying to get back. A couple of familiar faces that were very much involved in those two postseason triumphs. Paul KONERKO and Magglio Ordonez, whose playing time has been diminished this year. Reduced almost to a spectator's capacity as he and the rest of the Tigers will watch Chris Sale work now in the bottom half of the 8th. Sale has the chore of trying to handle that meaty middle of the Tigers order. Miguel Cabrera, Victor Martinez, and Alex Avila. Latest weather update is that the storm that's on its way is making ground, and they expect the outer edge of the weather to get here shortly. And that shortly has, I guess, become right now. There's the 0-2 home to Cabrera, fouled away. Chris Sale, part of a terrific young White Sox bullpen, Mitch. I know that you've watched him throw since coming up last year.
Yeah, he's herky-jerky. He's a whole lot of elbows and knees and legs, and that's nasty right there.
Catches Cabrera looking.
You're looking at probably a 90, 91 mile an hour slider that you just can't pull the trigger on because it's outside, and at the very last minute breaks across the plate.
You see those numbers since about the end of May. Sale has really turned the corner. A 1.02 ERA at that point. It's been particularly stingy against left-handed hitters. So the switch hitting catcher DH Victor Martinez turns around to face him from the right side. See the rain intensifying on your screen, and that's a fair ball past Morrill on into the corner. V-Mart on his way into second. But you see Juan Pierre having to battle wind and hot dog wrappers and other elements out there in the corner. And once again, the tying run stands in the on-deck circle now as Alex Avila will be the hitter.
And this is what we were talking about earlier with V-Mart. He's just so dangerous from either side of the plate. His home runs are down this year, but his ability to hit has not changed at all.
Alex Avila 0 for 3 today. His streak of 28 games reaching base safely, 28 straight that is in jeopardy. You see the grounds crew is certainly on watch. They will play on for the moment. Detroit's just 1 for 9 with runners in scoring position today. Wind and rain intensifying. These are tough conditions. I'm not sure if you can say, Mitch, if a pitcher or a batter has it worse.
It's a batter. There's no question. And I'm not saying this to be mean or anything, but Chris Sale is a tall, skinny, light kid. The wind is going to move him around a little bit out there on the mound. And it's going to move that fastball up there in the upper 90s too. But it's definitely harder on a hitter because you've got stuff blowing around. It's hard enough to hit a baseball when there's no dust, when there's no rain.
2 balls and a strike to count to Alex Avila. Martinez the runner at second, the 2-1. 2 balls and 2 strikes now. Handfuls of fans toughing it out enduring the weather.
This is Detroit, the floater city.
And now they're going to get everybody off the field. So this process will take a bit. As you know, by the time the field is covered and then cleared and then made playable again, you're talking about at least a 20 to 30 minute delay once that tarp is rolled out. Well, so that's what's happening. A rain delay. Saturday baseball presented by Chevrolet. We resume play at KONERKO Park with the White Sox on top of the Tigers 8-5. We thank Dick Stockton and Tim McCarver for keeping you satisfied and keeping your baseball fix. So while we waited out a rain delay, back with Mitch Williams, Matt Vasgersian here at KONERKO Park. And when we left, Mitch, it was told that it was going to be a passing storm. It did just that. It passed through. And here we are after a delay of just about a half an hour.
Absolutely. That's what we call back in Texas a clear-up shower. Be clear up to your bottom before you can get in the clubhouse.
Here's your game summary. The White Sox with an 8-5 lead, 11 hits apiece. Both Gavin Floyd and Brad Penny had their moments. Neither one was particularly sharp. Penny in particular labored through a 5-run fourth. And it was an inning that was made worse on what we're calling our Burger King mini moment. Carlos Guillen had an opportunity to initiate a double play ball. Instead, he was charged with an error. And that opened up the floodgates to a 5-run inning and led to what was the big hit of the inning. One of a number of big hits. It came by Alexi Ramirez, the Just for Men Keep Your Edge spotlight, courtesy of the Chicago shortstop. A 3-run home run against Brad Penny. For Ramirez, his 14th of the year. Keep your edge, Just for Men, beard and mustache. Unfair to hang the whole thing on Carlos Guillen. Fact remains, if that double play is turned, or even if one of those outs is turned on that double play ball, then the Tigers are out of what turned into a troubling inning. So as we resume play, Chris Sale will continue on the mound. Sale was out there when the rain came down. He's pitching with a runner at second and 1 gone. It is a 3-run ball game, and the tying run stands in the on-deck circle in the form of Johnny Peralta. Alex Avila will be the batter, and he will resume with a 2-2 count as the infield is cleaned up, and we're ready for baseball once again here in Detroit.
And I can tell you this, you don't want to walk out of the dugout after 30 minutes and have to see Sale in a 2-2 count. Number one, it looks like he's throwing from around the right field foul pole. If you're a left-handed hitter, this is a very uncomfortable at bat.
Here's the 2-2. And he gets him on 1 pitch.
Yeah. That's unfair.
Today's game is sponsored by DirecTV. Now get DirecTV's best offer of the year. And by Jeep. 1 pitch and a big out for Chris Sale. Now 2 away in the 8th after a 36-minute rain delay, the official time of the delay. And Johnny Peralta, the batter now for Detroit. Chris Sale came on in the 8th. He is the 3rd reliever used today by Ozzie Guillen behind Will Oman and Jesse Crane. He struck out Miguel Cabrera, allowed the double by Victor Martinez, and then it really started to rain heavily here. That prompted the delay. Alex Avila has struck out, and now Johnny Peralta with a 1-1 count.
You know, we're not showing velocity on our bug, but I'm telling you, Chris Sale is rushing it up there right now.
His 1-1 pitch misses inside, 2 balls and a strike. Johnny Peralta hitless, 0 for 3 so far today. Swinging the bat against a young left-hander who is, let's face it, still recently removed from the June amateur draft. 13th overall player chosen last year and became the first player from that class to reach the big leagues. The chopper foul, 2-2.
He's got just enough funk in his delivery that hitters have a hard time picking him up. And anytime you have a hard time picking up a hard thrower, it just makes it that much more difficult as a hitter. Number one, you don't pick it up, and if you don't pick it up, it's on you that much quicker. And when you're throwing 97, 98 miles an hour, there's no way you can look breaking ball and catch up to his fastball.
Still 2-2. Activity in the Tigers bullpen as well. Luis Marte is the right-hander. Phil Koch, the southpaw. You know, just to restate for those that might have joined us late, the big picture here, 6.5 games between the Tigers and the White Sox in the AL Central. The Indians in between these two teams. And that's lined into left. Going to wave Vmart around to score without a throw. Juan Pierre not blessed with a great throwing arm. And it's now just a 2-run ball game. The AL Central at the start of play. Again, as we mentioned, the Indians are stuck in the middle there, but Detroit on top, 5.5 better than Cleveland, 6.5 better than the Chicago White Sox. And after today, there are only 4 left head-to-head between Detroit and Chicago. Indians are underway, by the way. They've just begun at Kansas City, and they've got a 1-0 lead in the top of the first over the Royals. Here's Wilson Benameet. Now check that. Carlos Guillen. Carlos Guillen, the batter. 1 for 3 so far today.
And Chris Sale needs to just get this final out in the 8th to where Ozzie can get the ball into the hands of Sergio Santos for the 9th and take his chances, because Santos has been unbelievable.
Popped him up. Out into shallow left. And that'll do it. The Tigers do get a run in a rain-delayed 8th. We're on to the 9th inning in Detroit. It's 8-6 White Sox. Abbreviated the 8th, and Luis Marte will become the next to pitch for the Detroit Tigers here in the inning. He'll get the top of the White Sox order. Marte had his contract purchased from AA Erie. His rosters expanded Thursday. Made his big league debut that night against the Royals. Very good record, very good numbers this year with the Tigers AA club. 3-0, 1.70 ERA, working out of the bullpen. Also pitched at AAA Toledo this year. And so his second career big league outing will find him facing Juan Pierre, Alexi Ramirez, and Paul KONERKO. Starts Pierre with a fastball for a strike.
Well, there's not a whole lot to Marte. Very simple mechanics. Pick it up, put it down, let it go. That
On the
like
ground to second.
Split finger right there.
And a good play by Carlos Guillen.
Guillen goes with option right here, the 38 option pitch, and it's right on the money.
Why not on a Saturday afternoon where weather has not only made a difference in Major League Baseball, but in the opening weekend for college football? We're told that the weather has really played a major role and wreaked havoc all across this part of the country, delaying Notre Dame's season opener. Alexi Ramirez with a ball off the end of the bat out to left. Fooled Delman Young, but he comes in to make the catch. And there are two gone. This November, Fox Sports steps into the octagon with an epic heavyweight title fight as the #1 ranked contender in the world, Junior Dos Santos, squares off with undefeated world champ Cain Velasquez in a must-see mixed martial arts event that you can catch only on Fox. Dos Santos and Velasquez for the UFC Heavyweight Championship of the World, live Saturday, November 12th on Fox. Paul KONERKO now with 2 out and the base is empty. Sergio Santos is up. Speaking of Santoses, he's getting ready for the bottom half of the 9th, where he'll get the 9 and top of the order hitters for the Tigers.
I'll tell you what, for a kid just up out of AA baseball, Marte comes in. He's starting big league hitters off with breaking balls for strikes. He's making pitches on the edges to big league hitters. He doesn't appear to be the least bit overwhelmed by this.
A strike to put KONERKO behind the ball and 2 strikes. Well, something the Tigers bullpen has desired for some time, and Jim Leyland has talked about this the past couple of years. It's the same commodity that Ron Gardenhire has wished for in Minneapolis, and that's power arms out of the bullpen.
Wow.
Breaking ball just missed.
I'll tell you what, this young kid's got a pretty good idea of what he's doing on the mound with that baseball. If you're going to miss, that's a pretty good miss right there.
The 2-2 home to KONERKO. On the ground to third. And that'll do it, a 1-2-3 inning in Luis Marte's second career big league assignment. To the bottom of the 9th, down 2 are the Tigers. Athletics. A big one between the Oklahoma Sooners, the #1 team in the country, taking on Tulsa in their season opener, rather. It's tonight on FX, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Charles Davis and Gus Johnson bring you all the action beginning in Norman tonight. Let's see if the Tulsa Golden Hurricanes have upset on their mind. FX College Football Saturday Game of the Week presented by Russell Athletic. Sergio Santos is on to try to make this academic and get everybody over to FX to watch college football tonight. He'll get Wilson Betamit, and then the top of the order hitters, last licks for the Tigers, down by 2. Betamit has homered today. 1 of 5 hit this afternoon. A solo shot that came in the bottom half of the 7th, his 6th of the year.
I remember seeing the show on MLB Network where Ozzie and Kenny Williams told Sergio Santos he made the team out of spring training, and seeing tears in his eyes, finding out that he made it, and here we are a year and a half later, and he's becoming one of the most dominating closers in the game.
0-2 the count to Betamit. Well, his opponent's batting average at 153 is second best in the American League. A lot of his ancillary numbers rank him in the top 5. Strikeouts per 9, first batter efficiency, 28 saves for him on the year, and he's been even better of late, Mitch. That might be the most impressive part of his season.
Well, you got to be good when it counts, and when it counts is from the beginning of August on. When you're in a pennant race, they need to be able to count on a guy that, if you had the lead in the 9th inning, your manager knows he can hand that ball to you and that game's over with. And that's pretty much what Santos has been for Guillen. You look at those numbers, 17 games since the All-Star break. Opponent's batting average 073. Hold your cards, we have a bingo.
Wave and a miss by Betamit. 1 gone for Santos in the last of the 9th.
That's about as filthy a slider as you're going to ever see.
Had him hitting his pitching wedge off his ankles here.
This ball ends up behind his back leg. That's as good a slider as you're going to see.
The producer of today's game is Larry Lancaster. The director is Ray Tipton. Associate producer this afternoon, Kathy Hunt. Broadcast associate Chase Weber. Pre-game show on Fox, produced by Don Bowie. Tigers down to their last couple of outs. Austin Jackson's had a great afternoon, 3 for 4. He's extended a hitting streak to 14 straight. Two balls and no strikes. Series finale coming up here tomorrow. And it'll be the first time in some time that these two teams will be featured in a Sunday night game.
So this is a huge inning for Santos right here. He does not want Jackson to get on base.
2 balls and a strike.
Then you put Jackson on base. Now you bring in the chance for a 2-run homer to tie this game.
Fastball missed low, 3-1.
No wonder I retired.
The 3-1 to Jackson. A fastball ripped into the corner. Extra bases. Austin Jackson with a 4-hit night and thinking about his second triple of the ball game. Santa Maria, can he run?
He can't flat out fly. Is that how you could run, Matty, when you were young?
Not in my wildest of dreams, my friend.
Buddy, I promise you, you look at that, this is just pretty. That's the one thing I never had. I always wish I had. I got to speed up the stop.
2 triples today, passing Curtis Granderson for the most in the American League, and now it's Ryan Rayburn with a runner at 3rd and 1 gun, and this is where scorecard management becomes such an issue.
This is where Santos has to forget all about Jackson on third base. He means absolutely nothing in the grand scheme of this game. He means nothing. Santos' entire focus has got to be on that hitter.
Delman Young is next, and then you know who, Miguel Cabrera looming in the hold. Breaking ball misses, and it's a ball and a strike now.
And just for you people at home that keep track of funny stats, that triple by Austin Jackson took exactly 11 seconds again.
Ball and 2 strikes. Oh, you got a crowd here that despite the weather, despite at one point being down as badly as the Tigers were down, they were down 8-1 at one point today. They're stuck around and they're making a lot of noise here in the last of the night.
This is where Santos has got to elevate his fastball, middle of the plate up. It has to be middle of the plate and mask high on the catcher. That's gone.
Hangs one, and that one is, in fact, gone! Oh, my! Ryan Rayburn has tied it in the 9th.
Strike ahead in the count.
Delman Young now. The Tigers with a chance to win it. They forget about tying it up. Fastball on the corner. Just a little refresher as to how good Sergio Santos has been. Before today, since the All-Star break, he'd allowed 1 run in 17 outings. And there are 2 away now here in the bottom of the 9th.
And there's the difference. He got ahead of Delman Young with 2 strikes. 2 fastballs, then he went to his breaking ball, but it's a ball. And now he's got to face Miguel Cabrera. And look where this slider is. That's middle of the plate. If he elevates his fastball up, there's no way Rayburn can lay off it.
Here's Miguel Cabrera now.
Gone.
See ya.
Game over.
Wow. Oh, my goodness. First pitch, Miguel Cabrera, game-winning walk-off home run. Of all the unlikely comebacks, the Tigers have come back to walk off the White Sox.
Wow. There are backbreakers and there are backbreakers. This game is a backbreaker.
The White Sox had an 8-1 lead. The rain came, and then came the home runs in the 9th. Unbelievable.
This game went from a 5.5 game lead in the division to a 7.5 game lead in the division in the matter of 5 minutes. Look at where this pitch is. Strike. Strikes get hit.
25th of the year for Miguel Cabrera. Dare I say there hasn't been one bigger this season.
And I'm going to say Miguel Cabrera hitting a first pitch breaking ball out. He's looking first pitch breaking ball.
The Tigers winners in dramatic walk-off fashion at home this afternoon. Mitch and I are back with more next.